Some say after finishing this film, the director was banned by Chinese government for 2 years. Some say it was 5 years. I couldn't find the accurate number since I couldn't find any public official announcement. However, from Wikipedia, it was 2 years. Let's just say it was 2 years. From this film, the director started his career of being banned for 2 to 5 years almost every time he made a film. This director's name is Lou Ye, and this film is called Suzhou River. I'm very curious, what kind of film started his banned film director career? Today, I will share this film with you. Suzhou River is filmed in late 90s, more than 10 years after opening and reform policy. China had changed from a planned economy to partially market economy. With joining WTO and embracing industrialization, Chinese economy rapidly boomed, resulting in rising level of urbanizations. Shanghai, due to the location and its history, pooled national and even global resources, became the #1 international city of China. Suzhou River is located in Shanghai City. Over the years, it became the witness of the era. From historical events to every small individuals who were ignored and forgotten by the society. And that include the 4 main characters in this film. Ma Da, a motorcycle carrier. Mu Dan, daughter of a vodka dealer. Mei Mei, a nightclub performer. And I, a video photographer. Except being framed occasionally with hands and shadows, I am also the disembodied narrator and a character participate in the storyline. The whole film has 3 perspectives. The narrator's first-person point of view, the relatively objective third-person point of view, Mada's perspective, and first-person point of view. These 3 perspectives intertwined, resulting a thin line between reality and imagination. In order to distinguish these 3 perspectives, I will use different colors for different subtitles. White for the narrator's first-person point of view, yellow for the relatively objective third-person point of view, green for Mada's perspective and first-person point of view. I'm a video photographer. I will shoot anything as long as you pay me. One day, a bar boss hired me to videotape his bar specialty, a mermaid. That's how I met Mei Mei. Mei Mei is the mermaid. She is very beautiful. I like to record her. We often spend whole day together, and naturally she became my girlfriend. But I always feel anxious about losing her because she would disappear for days. Every time when she came back and showed up in my camera, I feel so happy because I know we can talk and drink on my balcony again. Every time Mei Mei got drunk, she'd always ask me if one day she left and didn't come back, would I look for her like Ma Da did. Then she told me a story about Ma Da, a motorcycle carrier who spent his life looking for this girl he had loved and lost. I didn't believe her. This is just a cliché love story. Okay, I'm going to pause the plot for a second to talk about one film technique called point of view. From here, after Mei Mei left and leaving the frame, the nature of this handheld long-lens shot changes from the POV of me to an objective shot. However, still with my narratives to tell the audience what's going on. So it became an imaginary. This very shot of Mu Dan and Ma Da showed up perfectly switch perspective and change from reality into my imagination. It clearly is an imagination because the narrator I use words like maybe, perhaps, what if, as it is my imagination. The long lens handheld shot not only continues the cinema style, but also keeps up in my perspective, a reality I created. Okay, let's get back to the plot. Ma Da made little money by delivered from one dot to another. Maybe he rode past my window on his way home to watch his favorite pirate videos until day comes. Maybe he dropped out of the school and started hanging around the river, made some not so good friends. One day, a friend drives up on a stolen motorcycle. Mada loved it so much and bought it. He thought he would go far on it, make something of himself, and be successful, but he never thought he'd end up a motorcycle carrier. Shanghai was swimming with so many delivered boys, but Mada stood out. Girls like him because he's good-looking. His clients like him because he kept his mouth shut. Mada used to go to a bar to meet Jiahong and Lao Bi, who gave him a lot of business. But this time, what they want him to deliver is not things, but a girl named Mudan. Mudan's father was a well-known dealer who made a fortune dealing with smuggled buffalo grass vodka from East Europe. After his divorce, there were only two things he loved: alcohol and women. Every time he brought home a new girlfriend, he'd call Mada to take Mudan to her aunt's. For the rest of the plot, the narrator will sometimes disappear and let the plot flow naturally. And when that happens, the camera is usually relatively more stable. The world feels more realistic and less like the narrator's perspective. You almost feel like the director is trying to hint that this part really happened. Like the narrator said in the beginning of the film, "Don't trust my words, trust the camera." On the way to her aunt's, Mudan teased Mada for driving too slow, and they had a great time. Mada's gentle and caring attitude towards her deeply touched Mudan. Mudan loved riding on Mada's motorcycle and always got him to take detours. When it was Mudan's birthday, Mada gave her a mermaid doll as a birthday gift, and they got drunk on a bottle of vodka she stole from her father. Two strangers sit together. What happened next? Well, love, of course. But maybe the story is not that simple, and maybe there is more. Maybe Mada is not simply a carrier. Maybe the woman named Jiahong had some connections to criminals and mafias. Maybe she and Mada had been lovers. After that night, Mada avoided Mudan. He didn't answer her calls and wouldn't see her. Until one rainy night, Mudan came to him, gulping down a bottle of vodka, cries and begged for love. However, Mada didn't really respond back. Jiahong and Lao Bi tells Mada to kidnap Mudan, though he doesn't want to. He still agreed. One evening, Mada got Mudan drunk and took her to Quanfu Road. Mudan thought it was a date until Mada pushes her away roughly. Mudan's father called to check if Mudan is really in his hand. Mudan then realized herself is being kidnapped. After Jiahong got the money, she was killed by Lao Bi. Lao Bi took all the money. Next day, when Mada and Mudan came out of the building, Mudan asked Mada. Then she ran away to the bridge. Then she jumps off. I remember reading an article about it in the paper. The paper were full of stories about mermaid for weeks. Mada went to jail for a few years. When he got out, he disappeared for a while, wandering from city to city, and after a while, he finally came back to Shanghai. He started as a carrier again, crisscrossing the city from morning to night, just so that he could keep looking for Mudan. From the hair salon that used to be owned by Jiahong, Mada knew that Jiahong was killed by Lao Bi. Lao Bi was also dead when he was chased by the police. Here, the narrator tells us that Mada can finish telling his story himself. The camera cut to an extreme close-up to Mada's eyes. That shot makes me feel that the director tried to hand over the point of view from me to Mada. This POV is not literally about what Mada says, but telling the story from Mada's perspective. Then we say that as Mada doing his daily work, he met Mei Mei in the bar. He thought Mei Mei was Mudan because they look identical. Mada found out she worked at the Happy Tavern. He finds the green room and saw Mei Mei changing into a mermaid. He waited until Mei Mei gets off work and talked to her, but Mei Mei seems doesn't recognize him at all. She let the bar securities kick him out. Mada follows the car and finds out where Mei Mei stayed. Mei Mei told him directly that she's not a prostitute. She even poured liquor on his face and kicked him away. Mada thought Mei Mei is definitely Mudan. He told Mei Mei that he never lied to her. Then the perspective changes to the narrator, me again. The same POV shot of me using my camera checking Mei Mei walking on the bridge. The next shot changes to Mada's POV. Mada is on the stair watching Mei Mei and me talking by my door. From here, these two POV meet each other as if two men finally meet, and they do. Mada and me sit together and talk. That night, Mei Mei led Mada to me. He told me that Mei Mei was Mudan, the girl he had been looking for. I told him he found the wrong person. For the rest of the plot, it contains both my POV and Mada's POV, and it seems to work together. The boss told me that Mada kept going to see Mei Mei at the bar. He went to her dressing room after the show and told her all about his story with Mudan, how Mudan liked to wear pressed-on tattoos of flowers on her leg, how she liked to paint her fingernails blue every night. It seems Mei Mei is touched by Mada and started to hope to be loved as Mudan. She started to behave like Mudan, even put the pressed-on tattoo flowers on her leg. It seems they had sex that night. Mei Mei came to me. I can tell that we had a problem, so I asked.
我们是现在分手呢，还是等做爱以后？
Mei Mei was furious and left. I was alone for a while but still lives my life. I went to KTV accompanied by a paid cute girl. I miss Mei Mei sometimes, but she never replied to my calls. I went to friends' weddings, birthdays, places we used to hang out. Meanwhile, Mada and Mei Mei gets closer to each other, but the bubbles didn't like it and gave him a big lesson. After that, Mada suddenly thinks through. I know that Mei Mei is not Mudan. A few days later, Mada came to see me again. He ranted for a long time. He knew it was me who had him beaten up, but he wasn't angry. If I would let him go on looking for Mudan, he would give Mei Mei back to me. What was he talking about? This bastard messed up my life, but still I had the nerve to smoke my cigarettes, drink my vodka, and kept me all night with nonsense about love. The next day, the Happy Tavern was closed down. Some time later, a carrier delivered a strange package. Inside was a bottle of buffalo grass, vodka, and a letter from Madame. He said, "Thank you for letting me find her. I found her in a 24 hours convenience shop. I had heard they sold buffalo grass vodka." Mudan and Mada are sitting by the river drinking vodka. Then she asked Madame,
送我回家吧。
The knocking on the door brought me out of my daydream. The police asked me to identify a body. They told me that the guy was a carrier and the girl worked in a 24-hour shop. They were drunk on buffalo grass vodka. They found my address and telephone number on him. Next to him was the girl, who looked exactly the same as Mei Mei. I couldn't believe it was her. I need to see Mei Mei. I told her what had happened. She was shocked. Mei Mei thought Mada was lying about Mudan, but now she knew Mada really loved someone that deep. So Mei Mei asked me,
如果有一天我走了，你会像马达那样找我吗？
On that raining day on Mei Mei's boat, we were together again. The next morning, I went to her. There was so much I wanted to say to her, but I was late. She was gone. Mei Mei left a notice saying, "Find me if you love me. I know nothing lasts forever. I know if I go back to my balcony, I will find her again, but I'd rather to close my eyes, waiting for the next relationship." The way Lou Ye, the director, used POV in this film, if you love this film, you can call it a symphony of using POV. If you don't love the film, you can call it what the hell. Just kidding. I do think it's amazing that the director explored this tactic so well. But I also think using POV in this way would only work for certain types of films, because POV is how the audience get into the plot and able to relate. For example, one plot in this film actually threw me out. When Mei Mei found out that Mada and Mudan were dead, her reaction was very intense, but we never actually saw how much she emotionally invested from her perspectives, so that we can only understand it was such a shock and pain for her, but not actually able to emotionally relate. I would say this style is not good for character-driven stories, but I do think if you use it well, it suits films that is more about deliver certain messages instead of the portrait of characters and emotions. Okay, after I watched this film, I felt even more confused. How can a film like this be banned? It didn't involve any political topics, violence, and sex. The fight scene was even like a joke. Sorry, director Lou Ye. And the sex scene was so unclear that I wasn't sure if they actually slept with each other or they just cuddled. My point is, why? Why such an innocent film got banned? So I did some research. There is a saying that it was because director Lou Ye took his film to international film festivals before he submitted it to the Chinese Film Censorship Bureau. So it's not about what's in the film, but the punishment of his behavior. Sending his or her own films to international film festivals before get it censored would receive the punishment for both the director and the distribution of the film in Chinese market. To censor Chinese film that's sending to the outside of China, of course, the target is not Chinese people, but non-Chinese. It censors what non-Chinese could access to Chinese culture, art, and society, and what you can't. I wonder in which law and under which constitution of China that the censorship bureau created this policy. By the way, the actor Jiahong, who played Ma Da, committed suicide 10 years after this film was released. The article reported this issue, claimed that it was because he was depressed by addicting to marijuana and rock and roll music. His favorite rock and roll singer was John Lennon. So imagine smoking weed and listen to John Lennon and you are like, I think I want to kill myself. Are you sure? So I checked English reports. On Wikipedia, it states that he used heroin. That is more convincing for me. But why are many Chinese reports that they only use weed instead? Well, there is no much actual resources that I could understand the true reasons. But I know if I never came out of China and actually saw what people are like after consumed weed, I would believe this narrative. The death of Jiahong is absolutely a pity. I would like to think that the reason was because he wasn't suited to his environment and was incredibly lonely. Hope his soul would rest in peace.